Hey everybody, this is Anthony's Horror More, and today we are catching up with the movies. So, I've seen a few movies recently. I just kind of wanted to talk to you guys about them. Yeah, so let's start things off right now with The Funhouse. Let's have some fun. The Funhouse, the nice cover there, the nice alternate cover that Scream Factory provides. Got some cool disc art in there. Pretty neat, pretty neat. Oh, there we go. That's more like it. Yeah, I gotta love that cover. That's so good. So The Funhouse, directed by Toby Hooper, who did, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Life Force and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and The Poltergeist and all that great stuff. He directed The Funhouse. And it's a really solid movie. I mean, it's very good. I mean, I watched the 4K version. It looked great. I will say that I don't know about other releases, but if they were grainy at all or anything like that, this 4K version pretty much takes out all the grain. Like, I didn't see much grain in this release. It was very smooth, but it looked great. I mean, it looked great. Sometimes movies, you want the grain to remain intact, but other ones, I think they look great without it too. So it can go either way. For this movie, I thought it looked really good. No complaints about that. The release looked really, really good. The movie's great. It's pretty simple premise. I just want to get some of the characters' names. I'm so bad at remembering actors' names. But it's a pretty simple premise. I mean, it's like a few friends go to like a, carnival type setting or whatever, and they decide to stay afterwards, and have some sex, and they're gonna stay, after it closes, try, maybe spend the night there or stay most of the night, whatever, and just kind of play around and stuff like that. They witness a murder by, and I guess, I don't know, guys, I guess this is going to be kind of a spoiler type thing if you haven't seen The Funhouse. I mean, the movie's pretty old, but, I'm just kind of giving my thoughts on it. There's not like a ton to spoil here, but, I mean, it's your, it's a pretty typical like slasher type movie, but yeah, they stay after, have some sex. The lead is Elizabeth Berridge. She plays Amy Harper. I thought she did a pretty good job. It's interesting too because she like has sex in the movie. She shows her boobs in the movie, so it's like definitely a different type of final girl. Because typically the final girls don't do any of that kind of stuff. So she's definitely a different type. Although I would say that this is kind of like a good group cast. Like, nobody really feels like the lead. It's like 4 characters, and they all just kind of feel like the lead. You know what I mean? None of them are really. If anything, I would say that the lead might be the guy who plays Buzz. Yeah, Cooper Huckabee plays Buzz Dawson. I guess I'd even say he was more the lead. I don't know. They all kind of share that, but yeah, they witness a murder. They see this. It's funny because this thing in the movie, they show this here, but this actually doesn't even exist in the movie. This clown that's on there, it doesn't even exist in there. But they witness a murder, and then this creature-like thing, and his father are basically out to like kill. Oh, because I was gonna say, not only do they witness a murder, but also one of the kids steals the money from the carnival, the leader of the carnival people, you know what I mean, the ringleader or whatever. So he wants his money back, plus they witnessed a murder and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, they gotta get that, so they want him dead, basically, you know what I mean? Pretty simple premise, but the thing that's great about this movie is I love the setting of the carnival setting, because it really does look like a real carnival. Like, if and they probably did. I'm sure they set, they set everything up, and they probably took over some little small area like a normal carnival would if it came to your town, and they probably just built all these sets and everything, and it looks great. There's no blue screen or green screen or any of that type of shit in there, because it's made way before that. It's 1981, I believe. Yeah, 1981. So everything's practical, and it looks great. It's very creepy. It's very reminiscent of, like, I feel like Rob Zombie has gotten a lot of his inspiration from Tobe Hooper, because they have kind of like similar feels to them. Like, this Funhouse movie has similar feels to like some of Rob Zombie's work. You know what I mean? Like, when I'm watching it, it kind of has that like dirty, gritty, like, you kind of feel like that it's very ominous, like there's just something looming, but it's also creepy at the same time, because you got all these carnies and stuff. That's the thing, I love that they take you around the carnival and they show you like all the different carnies doing their little things, you know what I mean? Like, so it's like they go into one tent and there's like a cow that's missing like its jaw or something. It's a real cow too, so they must have found, like, it's like a deformed cow or something. And then there's like another one that has, I think it was like a second head on the side of the main head or something like that. It was really weird. It was like another that may have been fake, but I don't know. But it's creepy either way. Like, it's that kind of stuff, and I could easily see that, like that kind of weird stuff being like it was in like Rob Zombie's House of a Thousand Corpses. So I think Rob Zombie, I don't know, I feel like I bet he really liked Tobe Hooper as a director. But yeah, so you get through that, you go through, and it feels so real. It does. And the characters are fun. I liked all the characters, they're fun enough. And then you get like the evil creature running around, like, just kind of picking them off one by one, basically. And the creature looks great. Really nice practical effects. You get some good kills, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy, but you get some good kills in here. I don't want to give away who dies or anything, but you get some good kills. And it's just a pretty fun ride all the way through, that's about it. I mean, it's pretty simple, really. I just think what makes the movie is that kind of eerie feeling, the carnival setting. It takes its time too. This movie really takes its time. It doesn't even start killing off any characters until, like, I don't know, I want to say it's at least like 40 minutes into the movie or so. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating, but it feels like a long time before anyone actually even dies in this movie. Like, it really sets it up well, because there's not that many characters. There's only 4 in the like lead roles, you know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, it really takes its time to set it up, and I appreciate that. I wish more movies did that. So many horror movies kind of just jump in and just start killing people like right away, because I think in their minds that they think that the audience needs like action beats like right away in order to stay focused on a movie. But this movie takes its time. It really does. Much like TCM, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also, another movie that really takes its time. I mean, there's some creepy shit that happens throughout it, but it really does take its time up until they even get to the house. You know what I mean? And then Leatherface shows up and all that, but it does take its time. So I appreciate that. I like that Tobe Hooper does that. Even the Poltergeist, same thing. I mean, they all kind of, like, all of his movies really do take their time, kind of develop the characters, and then it gets into that stuff. So yeah, so I thought it was pretty good. Definitely some creepy looking characters in this. That's for sure. Definitely some creepy looking carny type characters in this and everything, but yeah, overall I really enjoyed it. It's a fun it's a fun ride. I mean, yeah, I like the Funhouse a lot. It's great. And I thought the 4K looked great and everything. So that's the Funhouse, without getting too into it. Like I said, there's not too much to spoil, but I don't want to tell you who dies and stuff like that. Definitely go watch it for yourself. It's worth the buy. It really is. It's a good Scream Factory release for sure. Let's see. Okay, the next movie I want to talk about. Actually, let's talk about a show first. So there's a show called City on a Hill. Okay, City on a Hill stars Kevin Bacon. And it's set in Boston in the mid 90s, and it's Kevin Bacon plays an FBI agent, and then you have Aldous Hodge as DeCourcy Ward. He plays a lawyer, and his wife is also a lawyer, and it's basically just a crime story, just different crimes that are happening in the city of Boston. That Kevin Bacon and this DeCourcy guy team up to take down some. So you got the FBI agent and the lawyer, but Kevin Bacon just plays an alcoholic asshole, kind of racist at times. You know what I mean? I don't think he's really racist, but he does make those kind of jokes and stuff like that. I think it's just that kind of sense of humor. You know what I mean? That kind of dark sense of humor or whatever. I don't think he's really a racist or anything, but he does make those types of jokes, that are offensive and stuff. But he's great. His character's great. Kevin Bacon plays such a good asshole. I mean, he really is the reason to watch the show. I'm gonna be honest. I think this guy, this Aldous Hodge is the actor's name, who plays Ward in the show. I think he's really good. He's a good actor, and he's been in a lot of other stuff too. He's definitely, I've seen him, and yeah, he was in Hidden Figures and Straight Outta Compton. And he's been in a lot of stuff. This actor, I know, I've seen him in a bunch of stuff. So he's a good actor. But the reason to watch it is Kevin Bacon for sure. And yeah, it's just kind of like a crime show, you know what I mean? But it also explores their lives, their relationships, Kevin Bacon's relationship with his wife and how that's kind of strained. And, like I said, he cheats, he drinks, he smokes, he's that guy that you just don't, he's that guy that you just don't want to get too involved with or whatever, because he is dangerous at the same time and stuff. And, it's really good, guys. I the only reason I wanted to bring up City on a Hill is because I feel like nobody talks about this show. It's on Showtime, so it is on a premium service. But I think it's a really good show. I mean, I think the first season was solid. The second season's a little slow because they choose to kind of linger on this one character from a previous season that they probably should, or a couple of characters from the first season that they probably should have just ended their stories, but they kind of kept them going. Now, that part was kind of the slower part to me, but everything with Kevin Bacon's great. Pretty much everything with Ward's character is pretty good, And yeah, it's the third season though, which is about to come to an end. It only has one more episode, the season finale, and this third season's been really good, from start to finish. This third season's it's my favorite season so far. So yeah, I just want to recommend City on a Hill. Check it out, look into it. They're only 3 seasons deep, so you could easily catch up with it. I think each season as well, let me double check, but I think each season was only 8 episodes. Oh, no, I'm mistaken. Okay, so the first season was 10 episodes, then the second and the third season are both 8 episodes. So, not too bad, though. I mean, you could easily catch up with it. Each episode's an hour long. But it's really good. Really good television. Kevin Bacon's excellent. I mean, to no one's, I'm sure no one's shocked about that. But Kevin Bacon's awesome. He's really good. Yeah, and yeah, because I'm pretty picky about television shows. You know, I don't watch too many. Like I just finished Cobra Kai, that was great. I just did a video on that. That was my last video. If you guys want to hear my thoughts on it, I did a spoiler free and then a spoiler review on that. So if you want to check it out, it's all in one video. But yeah, I'm pretty picky. But this one's been good so far. I've really been enjoying it. You know, I like that there's not too much like, you know, agenda pushing and stuff like that. There's a little bit of that kind of stuff in there, but they do it well. It fits like pretty seamlessly into the story, so it doesn't feel like it's too heavy-handed any which way. You know what I mean? So I really appreciate that, because a lot of shows nowadays are very heavy-handed. Very. Like, subtlety is out the fucking window nowadays. But this show actually does a pretty good job of being subtle, you know? So yeah, that's that. The next, now a movie that I've seen this movie before, but I think I've only seen it once, maybe twice. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but that is Constantine with Keanu Reeves. Whoa. Actually, this disc actually has really nice inside artwork too. I gotta give it to him. Very nice. Yeah, this is the one I think I'm most excited to talk about out of all these. I watched this last night, and man, I forget, like, Keanu Reeves is really fucking good as John Constantine. Now, I understand that, you know, John Constantine, I believe, is, you know, a British man and stuff like that. He's been portrayed as a British man in, like, I know in, like, Legends of Tomorrow and some of the CW shows and stuff like that. He's usually like I believe he's a British guy. And that actor does a really good job too. And I think the other guy who played Constantine, it was like one season and then it got canceled. I think he was also a British guy. Or no, it was the same actor. Yeah, it was the same actor. Yeah. But yeah, that show got canceled. But anyway, yeah, he does a great job. So I don't know if in the comics if he's supposed to, and because the animated series, I believe he's also British. So I don't know if he's supposed to be a British guy, you know, if that's like his comic interpretation or not. But Keanu Reeves does a fantastic job of playing the character either way. I mean, he really does get it. I haven't read like a ton of Constantine comics, but the basics are all here in this movie. You know what I mean? Basically, Keanu Reeves, you know, playing John Constantine, is, you know, trying to save his soul. You know, he's trying to do enough good deeds by exorcising demons out of people and just doing all this kind of stuff, saving people, to ensure that his soul gets to heaven instead of hell. Because right now he's set to go to hell because, and I'm gonna kind of, I'll do mild spoilers or whatever, but I gotta tell the basic story here. But, you know, as a, you know, young kid, he tried to commit suicide, which, you know, is an immortal sin, or is a mortal sin. Sorry, immortal sin. It's a mortal sin, and that means you automatically go to hell if you try to commit suicide, basically. So he has to, you know, he's hoping that if he does enough good, that God will forgive him and let him go to heaven. So yeah, he's just going around doing all the exorcisms and stuff. But Keanu Reeves, God, he just really plays this character super well. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, he's, you know, he also has another big thing for his character is that he smokes. He's a heavy smoker and he's got lung cancer. So he knows he's going to be dead sooner rather than later. So he's really trying to make sure he can get his soul into heaven by doing enough good deeds and stuff. And it's just, he's so good. Keanu Reeves just like, I couldn't get, this is just, he really does capture the character. It's just like the subtle things he does, you know what I mean? And I'm glad they really I'm glad, like, this is, you know, R-rated, but it's not R-rated for like bad language, even though there's a little bit of it, and it's not R-rated because it's like super graphic. Either it's just like super bloody and stuff, because it's not even really that. The thing that I love about it is it's just the material in it so dark, and it's very religious themed and stuff like that, that's what gives it like that like R rating, you know what I mean? Because I guarantee you they probably could have tried to push them, make this PG-13, but it's just that, the fact that he's always smoking in every scene, you know and it's just like, it's how dark the material is, I mean, you're talking about heaven and hell and saving your soul and suicide, and you're talking about, there's a lot of like dark themes in this movie, and Keanu Reeves just does a kick-ass job. He really does. Like I said, just his mannerisms, the way he talks is the character. He just doesn't give a shit. He just wants, I mean, he is helping people, but he's helping people really for himself, because he wants to make sure that he gets into heaven, you know what I mean? So it's not even like it's the most noble of deeds, he's just trying to ensure that his soul gets into heaven. So, but just, Rachel Weisz is, she's the female like detective in this story. Her twin sister commits suicide, and she's trying to figure out why she would ever commit suicide, and then that's when she enlists the help of John to kind of help figure the whole thing out. And yeah, and it's just, one of the scenes that I love is, in order for her to go to the other side to try to like look for her sister, or look for, she has to immerse herself in this water in the bathtub, in order to like see the other side of things, because there's like a whole nother world, and she trusts Keanu Reeves, enough, because she doesn't really know him that well, but he's Constantine's kind of proven to her like he knows what he's talking about when it comes to all this stuff, like, without spoiling too much, but the movie's from 2005, so I'm assuming most people have probably seen this by now. But yeah, so she's laying in the bathtub, and she's like, so how long is it gonna take before I see whatever I'm gonna see? And he's like, it's different for everyone. He's like, just take a deep breath and then just kind of immerse yourself into the bathtub. And she's like, okay. And then like, Constantine like puts his hands on her chest or whatever. And at first she's like, oh, okay, so he's just helping me stay submerged under the water. But then she starts freaking out, because now she's been under there so long that she's run out of breath. She can't breathe anymore, and she tries to get up, and he's like holding her down or whatever this whole time, until she eventually like passes out, like almost dies basically, like, and that helps her get to the other side. But the scene is so good because Keanu Reeves, his face is just so serious, and then he's like forcing her down into I just love it because he's not like your traditional hero type guy, you know what I mean? He didn't let her know that was gonna happen, so she trusted him, but then he kind of betrayed the trust in a way, because he knew that she might not do it otherwise, but he knew that she needed to do it. You know what I mean? So it was like, it's just like stuff like that I'm just like, oh, it's so good. And then I like the fact that they let him smoke, because I know in the TV shows they didn't want the character smoking on screen, so like you would see like a cigarette burning, but you would never see him like actually like put it to his lips and like inhale it. They really had to work around that in the show, which is stupid, because it's so dumb, because the whole thing with Constantine is that smoking is terrible, because he got lung cancer and he's gonna die. I mean, so it's not like it's a good message like promoting the smoking. It's a fucking terrible message, because he's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like it's promoting like, look how cool I am. It's like he's got cancer, so it's kind of dumb that they don't see. It's silly that the people that run these shows and stuff can't see like the bigger picture with it. You know what I mean? Like the actual message that it's pushing, because really the message is like smoking's terrible for you because it's about to kill like the hero of the story. But they just don't get it. So, they just don't get it. So, Um, so yeah, no, that was fantastic. There's so many good scenes in there, and you got a great surrounding. You got Shia LaBeouf in this movie. He's like kind of like Keanu's young apprentice. He's really good in this. Um, Rachel Weisz plays Angela Dotson. That she's the detective. Um, Damon Hunsu's in this. He's really good. He kind of plays like he kind of runs this like nightclub that demons or angels can come into. It doesn't matter. You're free to come in either way, but nothing can happen to you on those grounds, which is kind of funny because they also do that in another Keanu Reeves movie, John Wick. You know what I mean? Where you go to the hotel and like violence and all that stuff is off limits. You can't do that there. You know what I mean? You can't break the house rules and stuff. So it really reminded me. I was thinking of that. I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of like a similar thing there. So I thought that was cool. Damon Hunsu was really good in there. And yeah, you had Pruitt Taylor Vince, who is great. You might know him from Identity. He's that guy that, he's the bald guy and he can do that thing with his eyes where they kind of jitter back and forth. He's been in a bunch of movies. Identity is the first one to come to my mind, but he's been in a ton of stuff. And oh yeah, Tilda Swinton. She's really good in this too. Most of these guys are, supporting characters, whatever. They're only in like a few scenes here and there, but they all do a great job when they're on screen. Peter Stormare, he's really good. He's been in a ton of stuff too. This actor, I've seen this guy in like a million things. Yeah, Fargo, Armageddon. Yeah, he's just been in a ton of stuff. He's been a ton. He was great too. He played Satan, and Tilda Swinton played Gabriel. So that was great. So yeah, kind of getting into more to spoilers now. Like before what I was saying, I know that it was light spoilers, or whatever. But you kind of have to say those things to tell like the story of what's going on. That's the basic story, But now getting into spoilers for this movie. I love Satan at the end of this movie. John's going to save God, I'm so bad with names. To save Angela. John's going to save Angela from all these demons, and who turns out to be the big bad is Gabriel, played by Tilda Swinton. And it's so badass because he's got like the shotgun that's like a cross, and then all the shells have little crosses etched into them. So it's just so bad. It kind of reminds me of like a scene like from Blade. Just really badass. Keanu Reeves just goes in there. He lights his Zippo and he puts it up to the sprinklers, and they had put like a cross in the water that comes out of the sprinklers, so now it's all holy water and it just like melts all these demons. And then he's just taking his shotgun, his cross shotgun, just blowing all these demons away. It was such a cool scene. Just like I love I'm kind of going all over the place, but I love the scene too where John goes to the other side, to hell, and it's some questionable CGI, but I liked it enough. It looked good enough for 2005. Like the CGI was okay. But he's going to hell, and you got all these creatures, and like they're missing the top part of their face, so it's just like their teeth or whatever. Their eyes are even gone, so they have to like smell, to find food and all that stuff. And I just thought that whole scene looked great, even though it's very heavily CGI, but I thought it still looked really good. It's actually this scene right here where he's walking through like that. It's actually that, and see there, and there are all the creatures. They're going after him. Yeah, I just thought that whole scene was good. Tilda Swinton as Gabriel, she was just killing it because I loved it when Satan stepped in, and because Gabriel thought she was going to take over and kill him and set his son free to take over, and he was just like, no. And just like blew her wings off, burned her fucking wings off. and then took the Spear of Destiny, which is kind of the MacGuffin in this story or whatever. It took that, and John's laying on the floor about to die. And he asks the devil for just like one thing, because John told him what his daughter was doing, Gabriel. So the devil owed John one. He's like, okay, what do you want? And he's like, just let Angela's sister, whose soul is in hell because she committed suicide, let her out. And then he's like, okay, fine. And then he goes to drag Constantine off, and it's too late because the heaven's gates are opening and it's about to suck Constantine to heaven. And the devil's like, no, I don't think so. You're not going to heaven. If I can't take you to hell, then you're going back to being immortal. And he puts his hands into Constantine's chest, pulls out his black lungs, throws him to the ground. And, so he saves him. He gets rid of all the cancer and all that stuff, and he makes him immortal again. So he doesn't go to heaven, but he doesn't go to hell. So the devil figures, well, eventually you'll slip up again, John, and I'll get you. You know what I mean? And it was just so good. That scene was great. They were all playing their roles very well. I loved all that. And then it was sad because I liked it though. This show had stakes because a lot of John's friends all died in this. They were killing off his friends left and right, and I forgot about that. But they kill off most of his friends, including Shia LaBeouf's character, which I like that at the end. I'm glad I watched the end credit because if you stay until the end credits is Shia LaBeouf's character. What is his name? What's that kid's name? What is he? Oh, Chaz. He's become an angel. So like John is visiting his tombstone, and he leaves his Zippo lighter on top of the grave. And because I'm assuming he's probably quit smoking, which is a good message. See, if you just do that in the show, you wouldn't have to worry about because they're so worried about kids picking up smoking or whatever. But it's like the whole message is freaking smoking's bad in the movie, you know what I mean? And same with the show. It's like, but whatever, they don't get it. So like he leaves his Zippo there, signifying that he's done smoking. And Chaz, Shia LaBeouf's character, comes out, out of the grave, spreads his wings, and takes the Zippo and then like flies off. Or I think he takes it. I don't know if he actually takes the Zippo. The Zippo might still be sitting there, but he like flies off into the air. I thought that was such a cool way to, because I was like, man, it was so sad when his character died. When Chaz died, I was like, damn. I was like, that's too bad, because he would have been great to bring in the sequel, And it's like, oh, okay, there is kind of a loophole, because now he's an angel, so you kind of can have him in the sequel. I'm like, okay. Because I guess they're talking about making a Constantine 2 now. Keanu Reeves says it's like the one character he would love to go back and play again, like a sequel. So I'm like, please, man, give us that. Give us Keanu Reeves playing Constantine again. I'd love that. So yeah. So that was awesome. I also love little touches. Like I like that in the movie, the demon's eyes are red. They have like this red, tint to them. It's like, what I mean? It's very, and then the angels have like, like a goldish kind of like goldish whitish kind of like tint to them or whatever. I love those little touches, kind of reminds me of like Supernatural when like the demon's eyes go black or whatever. But it's just like a little thing. It's just little touches like that are really good. And yeah, but like I said, I guess I just love how dark this movie is. I love it when like Keanu, you can tell, really got into this character. I can see why he wants to come back and play him again, because you can tell he was really getting into this character when he starts doing his prayers, and then he puts his arms together and they have that tattoo. It's like a cross, and half of it's here, and then he combines it, and then he starts doing that prayer or whatever to like exorcise the demons. That's so badass, man. There's just little things like that that are just so cool. yeah, just is all that. I mean, it's just it really was great, and I love that it's the great thing about it is it really is story based. Like Constantine is story first. It does have some action beats and stuff in it, but it really is about the story. It takes its time. It really takes its time. It builds each of the side characters up pretty well. Like here's a little bit about each of them, but the main two characters are Angela and John, and I just love that it builds like their relationship a little bit, and it just focuses on them. And it doesn't even really focus on the big bad. You know what I mean? It doesn't even really do that. I mean, that's what's great. It's just so story driven. It's not like this crazy action movie. It has action in it, but it's really not an action movie. It's a horror movie. Like a lot of people would say that it's a superhero movie, it's an action movie, it's this and that. It has those elements, but this is like a horror movie first. And it's a very dark, religious themed horror movie. Um, and I think it's great. I think it's so nobody really talks about this movie, and um, it's too bad. You know, it's like you just don't hear anyone. It really doesn't get mentioned too much. Like Blade gets talked about all the time, and that's even older than this. And Blade's badass. I love Blade. Don't get me wrong, but this movie is amazing. I'm so glad I just decided to put the DVD in. I don't know why. I was kind of just in the mood. Maybe because I heard news of him wanting to play the character again. I was like, oh, maybe I'll go watch the Constantine again. I was just like blown away at how good the movie is. I was like, oh my god, this is so good. This is like ridiculous how good this is. Um, so yeah, I think I talked about everything I wanted to talk about with it. Um, yeah, just well done. The only negative, I guess, is some questionable CGI. You know, they were doing a lot of CGI stuff, and you know, around this time they were doing that, a lot of that early, you know, that kind of questionable CGI, but it's not terrible. It's not terrible. It really isn't. Most of it's fine, but there are some things that it's like, okay, probably could have found a way to do that practically, but you know, to get the movie we got with the story we got, I'm perfectly happy with it. Because there's a lot of dark shit in this. I mean, it really is. It's a dark movie. It's a dark movie, but I just love. They also the other thing I love about it is it does stay true to the character because like you even have like he's got like an assistant who helps him with like all of his like different weapons and stuff, and you have one weapon where it's like dragon's breath and fire comes out, and you have another one that's like you shake this little there's like a little like roach or bug in there, and it makes this like type noise, and it basically like makes other insects and bugs kind of dispersed and stuff, and it's just little touches like that. I love that because that kind of gives you the little comic book flavor, but without being too crazy. You know what I mean? Like without going too comic booky. It's just like the little touches because that because in the animated movies and the comics and the live act, like he does have cool like tools that he can use, like foreign objects and stuff that have like magic built into them or whatever. Yeah, so it's really cool. Just objects that his friend has collected, and I'm sure John's collected just over the years. You could almost do a side story on his friend. Kind of reminds me of like a nerdier version of like an Indiana Jones. I just picture him going on these missions to collect like ancient artifacts and just different things. And then bringing him back to John or whatever. But he could almost had his own like side story or something. That's just kind of what I pictured. Like just traveling to Egypt and Rome and all these different places and just finding artifacts and stuff. I don't know. That's what his character reminded me of. Just a way nerdier version of that, but I liked it. What was his name? His friend's name. He was good. I pass him. Like I said, he only had a couple. He only had a couple lines. But Max Baker as Beeman. Yeah, he was really good, man. I liked his character a lot. So yeah, that was Constantine. That was the one I was like really most excited to talk about. I'll be honest. I had a blast watching Constantine. Loved it. I hope if you take anything from this, go and watch Constantine. Um, oh, I guess I didn't. I know last time I kind of gave like a ranking for. So I guess for City on a Hill for the show, I'll give that like I think so far. It's not done yet, but I think so far I'd probably give it like probably like a 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10 or whatever for City on a Hill for the show. But it's only 3 seasons deep, so it's hard. It's had a little bit of ups and downs, but overall I think it's been pretty solid. Kevin Bacon's what really makes it though. Funhouse, the Funhouse is great slasher movie, really fun. I gotta give the Funhouse a solid. I gotta give it like an 8 out of 10, man, just because it really for what it's doing, and everything. I think it does it pretty. I think the only thing I would complain about the Funhouse is like, I think the characters could have been they're good, but maybe they could have concentrated on one of them a little bit more because, like I said, it doesn't really feel like any of them are the main like protagonists. So I kind of wish that they had focused a little bit more and made one of them feel like the main, you know what I mean? But they were entertaining enough. I think they could have been written a little bit better, but overall, I think this is just a great movie. I mean, it's definitely a classic for sure. It's directed very well. Toby Hooper does a great job. Like I said, the atmosphere is perfect. It's very, it's just got those eerie feels. It feels like it's a real carnival. You know what I mean? It's just very creepy. So all of that stuff together, I mean, I would have to give it an 8 out of 10 for sure. The only thing I would change is I'd make the characters maybe slightly more interesting, but they were fine. You know what I mean? They're fine. Constantine, I'm giving Constantine. I don't give a fuck. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. I really don't give a shit. I know most people reserve their 10 out of 10s for like the perfect whatever. Da, 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 da. I think this movie's, for what it's doing, is perfect. I really do. And the bad CGI isn't enough to knock it down that far for me. I think this is a fucking great movie. I really do. I think it's story driven. I think it does horror really well. I think it's, when it does get into the action beats, I think it does the action very well, but it's really just the story that I think this is just a banger of a movie. I really do. I think this is a fucking banger of a movie. So this is like going to be my highest recommend. If you disagree, that's fine, but I think this is like right up there with. I don't even want to put it with superhero movies. I think it's a horror movie. I really do look at it as a horror movie and not a superhero movie. I know if like DC tries it, I just pray, please don't make it like don't throw any fucking Batman cameo and this cameo and that cameo. Like, don't throw any of that shit in here. Let this character be this character in the sequel, and just let it be. Don't throw other characters in there that are from, you know what I mean? Don't do any of that shit. Like, just, do a good sequel to this movie with just Constantine and his adventures, and that's it. And make it rated R, and make it dark, and get a director with some balls, and get some writers that are going to write this, and don't put any weird agenda stuff in it, or any dumb narratives or anything. Yeah, this is a great movie. Great movie. Giving it a 10. I don't give a shit. Let's see. Okay, so I did say, oh yeah, my last review is going to be Barbarian. I saved this one for last because I'll do a spoiler free right now, and then I'll get into the spoilers the back half of it. I probably could have made that its own video, but fuck it, I'm just gonna throw it in here. So Barbarian, yeah, I didn't really like this movie, I'm gonna be honest, and I know a lot of other YouTuber, everybody's praising that they're all sucking this movie's dick. Everybody is, but I'm telling you right now, I don't get it. I must be missing something. Um, so yeah, you have Georgina Campbell who plays Tess, and she's in Detroit. Um, she's going to an Airbnb. She gets there. It's super shady. It's dark. She's in a very shady neighborhood. She can't really tell what kind of neighborhood it is because of how dark it is, but it's very, you're not in a good neighborhood just because of where she's at or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and she gets there. She goes to boop, 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 push the buttons in the little lock thing to get the key to get into the Airbnb, their house or whatever. So she puts in the numbers for the code. Yeah, she puts the code in, and then the thing opens, the lock opens, and there's no key. So she's like, what the fuck's going on? So then she knocks on the door. There's a guy there, and he says, oh, I actually made arrangements to stay here. Sorry, I guess they double booked or something weird. So she's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll call a hotel. And he's like, well, you can come in here if you want. And you can call around and stuff. And she's like, she's kind of hesitant, but she does it. And she ends up just staying the night there. And I'm trying to say whatever I can say without like spoiling this movie. She stays the night there. She's there she's there for a job interview. That's why she's in Detroit in the first place. And, she got that place to stay the night. And then she stays, and I really can't even talk about this without fucking going into spoilers. It really is. It's a kind of a bitch of a movie to talk about without going into spoilers. But, she eventually things progress, and she locks herself in the basement by accident, and she discovers basically this hidden room. Okay. And she goes in there, and things happen. So I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to talk about any of that. Don't worry, I'm not going into any of it. But that's the basic, plot of what happens or whatever, okay? I will say this, spoiler-free still, that this character, Tess, the actress did a good job. Georgina Campbell did a good job. But this character of Tess could be one of the worst written characters I've seen in any movie ever. And this goes beyond bad horror movie tropes. This is just a really poorly written character. She makes, from the time she literally steps out of the car and walks up to the house. She's already made every bad decision you could possibly make. And it just gets harder and harder to believe as the story progresses. It's and she's not the only one. Even the other characters, without getting into spoilers, but even, Justin Long's character, AJ, who is funny. He is really funny in the movie. But he makes a bunch of dumb decisions too, but his character is kind of playing that kind of, without spoiling it, I don't want to spoil it too much, but his character kind of makes more sense than he makes kind of silly decisions or whatever, but she's the protagonist, Tess is the protagonist, and it's just you want to root for her, but it's good God, man. It is just hard to root for dumb characters. I saw this movie with my mom. She likes horror movies. So she likes horror movies. She doesn't like the super bloody graphic ones. And I told her, I know nothing about this movie. I'm going in completely blind, so it might be a bloodbath. I have absolutely no idea. But she's like, oh, well, let's go see it anyway. It's fine. And my my mom, there's not a ton of people in the theater, but she's kind of whispering to me, and she's like, this woman is really dumb. She's making really, and I'm like, I know. And, because my mom, obviously she's a woman, and she's like, I would have never like stayed there, I would have never even probably gotten out of my car. Like she's like, I wouldn't have made any of these. As soon as like it's just so funny because she's like the whole time my mom's telling me she's like, so it's not just me. I'm also giving you like a woman's perspective on it. She's like, this is completely unrealistic. You know what I mean? She's like, I would have never done this, even if, you know, even when she was younger, she's saying she would have never done this or whatever. And I'm like, I know. I mean, it's just like she makes every possible bad decision. And it is just a lot of bad decisions, like a lot. And there's so many times where she could have, like, just left. It's just like, it's mind boggling. I can't, it's too hard. I just can't support a character that's making that many dumb decisions. Now everything else about the movie's directed competently. It looks good. The cinematography's good. The villain, without giving away any spoilers of the story, I thought was pretty good, creepy. Even some good, like, it had some good tense moments for sure, but then it's got kind of one of those weird tones where it kind of like shifts from like it's very tense and then it kind of goes like kind of funny and then it goes back to being tense again. It's a little bit jarring, but I'm not knocking the movie too much for that. It was fine. It's just the story itself was just like okay, you know what I mean? Like it was weird and creepy and stuff, but it was just okay. I mean, I wasn't blown away by it. I don't, a lot of these guys doing these reviews are like, whoa, and I'm like, why? I'm like, I'm like, it's just, I can't enjoy a movie, and like, I get it. There's a lot of horror movies where characters make dumb decisions, but not this many, guys. I mean, especially, and then when you're taking it to this time period too, and things that we know and everything, it's like, it's just too much. I mean, it's just too many. So that's my biggest thing is just, the story's meh and the characters are terrible. Terrible. Like, I mean, I just can't even say it. So it's like, this movie I'd probably give like, I'll never rewatch this movie again. I'll never rewatch this movie again. So I'd probably give it like a 4 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, it's bad, man. I don't get what other people are saying, but that's just my own personal opinion. I don't want people get really riled up. It's just my own personal opinion. I just don't like. I don't think it's, if you're telling me you like it because it's creepy and I like the part where the thing, and all that happens, like, cool, okay. But if you're telling me like, oh, the characters are so good, like Tess is like great final girl or whatever, and it's like, no. Absolutely not. I will not agree with you ever on that. These characters are fucking terrible. They're horrible, and I don't want to hear like, oh well, it's it's going for that. It's like satirical or something. It's like, no, this isn't like a satirical thing or any of that bullshit. I hate it when people give the movies that excuse. It's not that. It's not a satire. It's none of that bullshit. Nice try, but it's not any of those things. It's just bad. It's just bad, poorly written characters. It just is. So let's get into the spoilers now. Spoilers. So yeah, when I'm talking about dumb decisions, guys, it's like, it's bad enough. Okay, you're a woman. Now you're spending the night with a guy you don't know. First of all, you're in a terrible neighborhood. Then you're gonna spend the night with some guy you don't know, which is a terrible decision. And then, when she goes into the basement and she finds that secret room and she's like, nope, which I know is probably paying homage to the movie Nope, obviously, you know what I mean? It's because, I mean, at least I felt like that's what it was going for. Maybe it was just coincidence, but she's like, nope. But then literally, like a few minutes later goes by, and maybe it's longer in her, in her time, maybe like more time went by, but either way. But then like literally like a minute later, our time watching it, she goes into the fucking like what looks like a goddamn dungeon, it looks like this like crazy, like you would never want to go in there. There's no one would ever go in there. I would have just, and it's like, why didn't she just kick the fucking door down? It's a regular door. It's not like a special anything. It's just a normal door. Go fucking beat it down. I mean, I understand it's an Airbnb, but just fix it later. Or, pay him, fix it, whatever. Or break the window and just go through that little spot that she ends up going through later anyway. In the basement, that little glass, she breaks the glass and she goes through there or whatever. I'm like, yeah, just do that. Dude, why would you go into this dark room or whatever? Would you know nothing good is back there? This whole thing's already creepy enough. And then she goes in there, she sees a bed with blood and stuff on it, then a bloody handprint, and then a bucket, and then a camera. So it basically looks like a damn place to record, snuff films and shit like that. And then she continues to look around. You know what I mean? And then the guy comes home, Bill Skarsgård character, which he was fine. He was good in this. I mean, he didn't have much to do, but he was there. And, she's like, yeah, get me out of here. And he comes and gets her out. Now, you would think, now she's about to run away. She grabs her keys. She's about to be out. You know what I mean? But then Bill Skarsgård's like, oh, let me go check it out. And she has a little, crush on his character in this movie, And so she sticks around. He's like, just wait here. And if anything happens, you can call the cops or whatever. So he goes down there. He screams, or no, he goes down there and then he stops responding to her, calling him and stuff. And it's like, okay, at this point you should call the cops or just leave. But no, she goes down there to investigate. Then she hears him scream. And then she goes towards, which it's all dark. It's all dark. You can't even see in front of you. So she goes past the room that has the bloody bed, the camera, all that crazy shit, the bucket and all that, the bloody handprint, into a darker section of this tunnel or cavern, whatever you want to call this fucking thing, this underground tunnels and shit. And she goes down the stairs, these creepy ass stairs, sees a bunch of bloody cages, still hears, she heard him scream, whatever. And then she eventually finds him, and then the creature appears and kills him, and then, she ends up getting trapped there, and then it cuts to Justin Long's here. But dude, it's in the course of this time, she could have gotten out of here a million different times. And it's just, no one would have went down there. And my mom, same thing. She's saying the whole time, she's like, oh my God. She's getting even more frustrated than me because it's just so unbelievable. It's too unbelievable at this point. You know what I mean? And it's just, and then it cuts to Justin Long's character, and there's some heavy-handed stuff with that too. You know what I mean? Because Justin Long's character plays a famous celebrity or whatever, or he's an up-and-coming celebrity, whatever. And it turns out he raped a girl in the movie or whatever. You find out that he did that. He took advantage of a girl or whatever, and and then Justin Long's character gets taken advantage of by the beast in the movie, this evil beast. He gets kind of forced to ingest her milk or whatever, and this is this creepy creature or whatever, and she's basically treating him she's one of his babies, or he's one of her babies, so he forces her to drink his, or she forces him to drink her milk out of her tit, you know what I mean? So it's one of those messages see, now he's being forced. Do you get the message in there? Because he's an evil rapist, and now he's being forced down by a woman. Get it? Get the message? It's oh my God. It's just so, it's okay. You know what I mean? But Justin Long's character does bring some comedy relief to the movie. At least there's that. He does bring some funny lines and stuff to it, but it's and then these two inept cops eventually show. So the girl Tess, she ends up, while the creature is messing with Justin Long's character, she escapes and gets away. And instead of just going anywhere to get help, or which she does, she finds a couple cops. And of course, they're the most inept cops in the world, just complete, whatever, which is another stereotype thing. It's oh, a couple of Detroit cops, they make them these bumbling, sorry, we can't help you. She's literally, because they think like she's like, because she's all dirty and she's, whatever, but the way she's speaking, like she doesn't sound like a drug addict or anything, because they think, because she's saying, like, she's thinking in her head these cops aren't taking her seriously because they think like she's a homeless person or somebody on drugs or something, but in real life the police are still going to investigate whatever it is, you know what I mean, like they're not going to take it lightly. And at the very least, they would have at least taken her somewhere. Like if she had been like, okay, just get me the fuck out of here, or take me to jail or something. She could have socked one of them and then been taken to jail. But she wants to go back and save Justin Long's character. I'm like, lady, just get out of there. Just leave. And then figure it out later. I mean, it's just so crazy. Nobody would do these things. No one. And I get it. She's the final girl. She's got to go save him. It's like, no, but it doesn't make any sense. And the cops are not going in there or doing anything, not even like investigate or anything. That doesn't make any sense either, guys. I mean, the whole thing's just stupid. Like that whole fucking thing's dumb. And then, I'm talking spoilers, so I'm assuming people that are still watching at this point kind of know what I'm talking about now. And then there's the homeless guy. And this is another thing that I hate about the movie. Okay, she goes in there, she saves Justin Long's character, they get out, and then there's this like homeless guy that's been living around this area for years and years, and then he tells them the whole backstory of what's going on. He knows, yeah, there's this guy from years ago, and he would, kidnap women, take them down to that dungeon where the camera in the bed is, and he would rape them, and then create, babies from that, and then when the babies grew up, he would have sex with, them, and then make another kid. So it was like incest and incest and incest, and then eventually it made this creature, the creature that lives down there or whatever. So the homeless guy's telling the story. So what you're saying is you've known that this guy's been doing this for years and years and years, because now the guy, he's still living in that he's living in that basement with the creature or whatever. He's just super old now, and he ends up taking his own life or whatever, but he's like an old man now. So like the homeless guy's telling the story, and it's like, so you've been watching this guy do this evil shit for years and you haven't told the cops. I understand he's homeless, people might not believe him, but guys, in real life, if somebody tells you, yeah, he can have this chick and then he's been dragging him down there, eventually the cops would have taken that seriously, because there's going to be reports of missing women and stuff like that. The husbands are going to be wondering where their wives are, the kids are going to be wondering where their mothers are. Eventually they would take what what the homeless guy's saying seriously. Eventually, you know what I mean? Like, so he's known this whole time and he's done nothing, this homeless guy. And I'm like, well, you're just as big of a piece of shit as the guy that lives down there. You know what I mean? You're just as big of a piece of shit, because you've known about this for all these years and you've done nothing. I mean, you're homeless, so you don't even have anything to lose anyway. Why, why, if you're not going to tell the authorities, why not, like, go in there and try to, like, help him or something? Or the next time you see him, like, bringing a woman in there, have the cops ready, like, oh, there he is, or take a, picture, it's anything, you know what I mean? Or even, go try to fight him yourself. I mean, you've got nothing to lose, you know what I mean? Like, go, like, his routine, so, like, just wait for him when he's, like, opening the trunk and pulling the girl out, then go fucking beat the shit out of him or whatever, and then just leave, and then, okay, you saved the, I mean, it doesn't make any sense. That whole part, that's so stupid. Because they paint the homeless guy like he's like this hero because he like helps them out, but he's not. He's just as big of a piece of shit. I mean, unless I'm just completely missing something here. But he tells that story, and I'm like, so you've known this entire time? And then how do you know that? Like, how do you know that he's been doing that too? And then this creature was like, it's like all this like inside knowledge and stuff that he has too. It's like, none of it makes any fucking sense. It's so crazy. It's so fucking crazy. It's just, that's what I mean. The story is just so poorly written. I mean, these characters are just awful. I mean, the final girl's awful because you just can't root for her because she makes too many dumb decisions. And Justin Long's character, he's a rapist too, so you can't, root for him. He's, you know, he's shitty, and then, you know, he tries to sacrifice Tess or whatever to save himself, so he's just shitty. The homeless guy's shitty for not alerting the authorities all the years that this has been going on. They could have, you know, he could have prevented all these women from being abducted, so he's a piece of shit. Like, just there's no one to root for. If anything, I guess you just root for the creature, because the creature's kind of the most innocent. I mean, yeah, so it was just, I don't know, I didn't like the movie. If you did, that's cool. I don't get it. I really don't. But yeah, so, you know, I don't know. I'd probably give it a 4 out of 10, honestly. And that's just because I think you know, it looked good. Like, the directing was fine. There were creepy moments. There were really tense moments. It was definitely, it had some cool, weird moments. The creature design looked really good. I like the creature design. It was really creepy. And yeah, I mean, that's about it, you know. Yeah, that's Barbarian, guys. I don't know. I just don't, I really don't get it. But okay. And then, yeah, so, you know, please, guys, leave in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about Constantine. Let me know what you think about the Funhouse. Let me know if you're going to check out City on a Hill, maybe. And, you know, if you want to roast me down below about not liking Barbarian, go for it, man. I don't give a fuck. I've got, you know, if you don't like my thoughts on these movies and stuff, just unsubscribe. It's not a big deal. You know what I mean? Or share your thoughts down below. That's cool. We can have a little discussion on it. I'm not worried about it. But I gotta, you know, the one thing, you know, that I'm always going to try to do is be honest, you know, and give my thoughts on these movies and stuff, because otherwise, what's the point? You know, if I just say what everybody else says, you know, what's the point? You know, I'm giving you my real, and if you disagree, cool, let me know in the comments, and maybe we can have a discussion. Maybe you can convince me, like, oh, well, you know, they're not that dumb or whatever. It's like, I don't know how you will, but maybe. But yeah, so, you know, please leave the video a like, subscribe, and comment down below, and just, yeah, whatever you want, you know. This is Anthony's Horror and More, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out.